Hi everyone, and welcome to the class. Thank you very much for joining us. First off, I'd just like to tell you that now you've pressed play, you shouldn't have to rewind the class or fast forward. All the breaks and the bits for you to try stuff are built into the class. So it may be that you're kind of quite fast at doing things, so if you are, feel free to have a little chat. So there is a comments box just underneath here. That's not always the easiest way to comment, and people are finding that actually the messenger box that we set up before the class is a bit easier. The other good thing about the messenger box is that you can also share your photos of what you're up to. So that's nice because it gives people a sense of, again, being together, and people can see what their classmates are doing and how they're getting on. And also the tutor can have a look as well. So the tutor is here, so do use them and ask them sort of any questions that you might have. So there's a bit in the film that you're not clear of or you're struggling with, do sort of put those questions to them, and they're there to do that. So it's an added bonus on, just an online tutorial. If you're a little bit slower and you like to take your time over things, then at the end of each doing session, which is marked by a clock, you will find that there's a buzzer that goes off. So please do come back and join us, because again, it's kind of trying to keep everyone together in the same class doing the same thing at the same time, roughly. Yeah, and if you then want to recap, or there's a bit that you've missed, the videos are going to stay online for the near to foreseeable future, so you can always go back and have a little look at those again, and also share them on with anyone that you think might enjoy it too. I think that's probably about it from me, so I will hand over to myself, which is a bit odd, or maybe to one of our guest tutors. All right, enjoy.
Hi everybody, my name is Christine Gallagher. I'm an artist and an art tutor, and today I'm going to be showing you a really simple but fun printmaking technique, just using ordinary household items. The printmaking technique is actually known as collagraph printing, and it just involves sticking down lots of really interesting textures and then applying it to the plate and taking some prints from it. So in a moment I'm going to ask you to go and find some items, and I'll be showing you some examples of what to look out for. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so these are all of the items that I've gathered together that I feel might be interesting, make some interesting textures for my printing plate. Okay, but first things first, we need a suitable substrate on which to glue our items. So what you'll need to find is just a cereal box like this is ideal, or a washing powder box that's obviously empty. I've got a dog biscuit box as well here. These are ideal to use because they're the right thickness of card. They don't present any problems when we come to glue our items down onto them, so it'll become evident why this is good stuff to use. Okay, so first things first, if you can go off and find one of those, if you've got them, that'll be brilliant. Most people have cereal in the house, so hopefully that won't be too difficult to find. And then you want to really go around the house and try and find some interesting textures, because texture is really important to this technique. So what I've got here, these are just my suggestions. I've got some knitted fabric, just my practice knitting piece there. I've got some interesting garden string that's got a nice texture to it, that unravels at the end, so that might be quite nice to use. I've got some ordinary kitchen foil, which again could be quite useful. You can scrunch it up and make interesting textures. I've got some rice, which also again, once it's glued down onto a surface, could be quite interesting. I've got some old lace trim here, which I have used in collage and things, so that might be quite nice as well. And I've got some coins here, just some 1p coins, 5p coins, but also some buttons, just some old buttons. Buttons can be quite tricky. For instance, one like this, it's quite sort of thick and cumbersome, so as long that wouldn't be quite as suitable as, say, something small and delicate like this one. So, you know, just have a look round and you know, just gather together what you think, and then you can always make the judgment when you come to make your plate. I've just found an old blister pack, empty blister pack. They can be quite interesting as well if you can get them nice and flat. And I tend to keep all of these mesh bags that you buy fruit in, because the textures are really lovely and you can really pull them about, and that you tend to get different gauges of them. Like this red one is different texture to the orange one and the yellow one, and then I've got this white one that the garlic came in, and that's quite stretchy with smaller holes. So that's just a brief overview of the sorts of things you might want to gather together from around the house. Failing that, or if you didn't want to just find things in the house, you can go out into the garden or the surrounding areas and get yourself some nice organic leaf forms. These are just bits and pieces that I've picked up from the hedgerows when I've been walking the dog. So some of these might be quite nice to use as well, but we'll make some decisions as we go. So that's our starter for 10. So yes, go off and see if you can get some items together, and we'll meet back here as soon as possible. Okay, bye for now.
Everyone else has let me down. How can I have faith in you? Searching through the lost and found. She said, leaving things behind the door. You can't worry about before. Leaving things behind the door till you know in your heart. You're He looks out upon the ocean, out upon the seas. The clouds are turning black now, he can feel it in the breeze. Oh, she's on his heart. He looks up at his tower, his stake in the ground. It's time to climb this tower and fight the battle now. Oh, she's on his heart. It's been so long since we were together. Whoa, tonight let's put our hearts back together. Whoa, she looks out upon the ocean, out upon the seas. The clouds are turning black now, she can feel it in the breeze. Oh, he's on her heart. It's time to raise the anchor and set the sail high. It's time to head for home and see the apple of her eye. Oh, he's on her heart. It's been so long since we were together. Whoa, tonight let's put our hearts back together. Whoa, hand in hand, side by side, hand in hand, forever we will be. It's been so long. It's been so long. Tonight let's put our hearts back together. Whoa.
Okay, so at this point we want to start to make our printing plate. So I'm going to get my cereal packet and dismantle it. I've already cut out the back. So I'm just going to cut off the side sections here very quickly. Put that over there. Now, you can use it, you know, any size you want really. It just depends on the paper that you're going to be printing on. I'm going to be printing on A4, so I want this to be a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is just halve that, I think. So I'm just going to fold it over just to get that crease in the middle as a guide for where to cut. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that in half, like so. So I've got my piece of card for my plate. Okay, so at this point, it's really just a case now of selecting some items to go on the plate to create the surface texture that's going to pick up the ink for when we print. Okay, so I've got a collection of things here, you know. Right, so to create the plate, what I need to do is start to select some of these items. So I think what I'll start with is some of this kitchen foil. Take a little section of that. You don't need to cut it with scissors necessarily. And I'm just going to scrunch it. So I'm going to do it quite bunched up and small, because when I come to glue this down, I'm going to have to work it down onto the plate to get it to stick. And that can sometimes iron out a lot of the lovely texture. So I'm going to get it smaller than I actually want it to appear on the plate. And I'm not working to any kind of preordained sort of plan for this. I'm just going to go in and do it really random, because I often find that you get better results that way. So that's just kind of in position. So as you can see there, I'm just painting some PVA glue down onto the card and placing the foil down. Okay, and then I thought perhaps some of this net bag might be quite nice. And I quite like to overlay things. So we're sort of attempting to stick things down from underneath. So I'm using quite a bit of the glue there. What else have we got here? I've got some of this lace trim, which might be quite interesting to use as well. So this takes a little bit of time to do, so I'll come back when I'm nearly finished with it. Okay, so you might want to follow suit now and just maybe start sticking some pieces down onto your card. As I say, try not to be too precious about it, you know, you just go with the flow, see what you end up with. Because I think when you come to do the printing of this, it will kind of make more sense. You'll get a better understanding of what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so I'm going to pause mine there, I think. Okay, so as you can see here, I'll just zoom in to show you what I've done. So I've just got a few elements there. I've got the lace, I've got a bit of this this net bag, I've got my foil, I've put in some coins as well and some of the blister pack, and then just sprinkled some of the rice down.
7 a.m. and I'm in the car now, coming to find you. We have the day planned out. Won't be long till we get to find out if we really want it, or we need to find out how to make this thing work out. A few hours later and we're heading down south, sun shining through from a breakup in the clouds. Windows roll down and we're screaming out loud words to one of our favorite songs we talked about. We're running, 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 we're running out. We're heading for the hilltops, heading for the hills against the clouds. And we're running, running, running for solid ground. Trying to find our way out, trying to find our way, we're lost and found. 7 p.m. the sun is setting down, filling my head all these things we talked about. All of these things we wanted to work out, didn't think we'd get this far this time around. And we're running, 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 we're running out. We're heading for the hilltops, heading for the hills against the clouds. And we're running, running, running for solid ground. Trying to find our way out, trying to find our way, we're lost and found. And we're running, 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 we're running out. We're heading for the hilltops, heading for the hills against the clouds. And we're running, running, running for solid ground. Trying to find our way out, trying to find our way, we're lost and found.
So first off, before I move this on, what I want to do is I could leave that overnight to dry, which would be ideal really, but for the purposes of this exercise, and you might want to do the same thing, I'm going to blast it with the hairdryer just to kind of harden off that glue before I move this on. So bear with me a moment and I'll be back soon. This is my plate dried off, so I'm just going to test that all my pieces are going to stay on there, which it looks like they are.
Of all the boys I've known, and I've known some, before I first met you I was lonesome, but then you came inside, dear, my heart grew light, and this old world seemed new to me. You're really swell, I have to admit. You deserve expressions that really fit you. And so I've racked my brain hoping to explain all the things that you do to me. By mere beast to shame,
Let me explain. Thy mere bis de Shane means that you're grand. Thy mere bis de Shane, again I'll explain. It means you're the fairest in the land. I could say Bella, Bella, even sehr wunderbar. Each language only helps me tell you how grand you are. And I've tried to explain by mere bis de Shane. So kiss me and say you'll understand. By mere bis de Shane. You've heard it all before, but let me try to explain. By mere bis de Shane means that you're grand. By mere bis de Shane, such an old refrain, and yet I should explain. It means I am begging for your hand. I could say Bella, Bella, even sehr wunderbar. Each language only helps me tell you how grand you are. And I've tried to explain by mere bis de Shane. So kiss me and say you'll understand. I could say Bella, Bella, even sehr wunderbar. Each language only helps me tell you how grand you are. And I've tried to explain by mere bis de Shane. So kiss me and say you'll understand. Just kiss me and say you'll understand.
But before we get to the point of being able to print, what I need to do next is to seal the plate, seal it down. For instance, this lace work here, there's still parts of it that are quite open, and they will just absorb the ink basically, and some of this card in the background. I don't really want the ink to kind of seep into anything, so I want to create a seal over the top of that in order that it can be inked up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is basically the same thing. So I'm just going to seal it with PVA. Now you can use it just depends what you want to do with your plate and what you're going to be printing with. We're going to be using a water-based block printing ink, so I'm just going to use PVA, or you can use Mod Podge, which is a really good sealant, water-based sealant. But if you're using any solvent-based inks or oil-based inks, you really should be sealing your plate with something like button polish or a polyurethane varnish. So I'm just going to work this all the way over, nice and fairly thick. I mean, you don't want it to be so thick that it kind of interrupts the textures of what you've got down on your plate, but you want to kind of get into the sides and make sure it's nice and kind of secured down. Right, so I've now applied all the PVA over the top of all my surface texture there. But before we're able to proceed through to the printing part, I need to let that completely dry. But I'm going to use the hairdryer again to kind of get it completely dry before we can move on to the next stage. Okay, just to make sure that it's all completely secured down. So I'll be as quick as I can. Bear with me.
Quanta la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta. Quanta la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta. We gotta get going. Where are we going? What are we gonna do? We're on our way to somewhere, the three of us and you. What'll we see there? Who will be there? What'll be the big surprise? There may be caballeros with dark and flashing eyes. We're on our way.
We're on our way.
Pack up your pack.
Pack up your pack.
And if we stay, we won't come back.
We won't come back.
How can we go? We don't have a dime, but we're going and we're gonna have a happy time. Quanta la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta. Quanta la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta. Now someone said he'd just come back from somewhere. A friend of mine that I don't even know. He told me that it's very close to nowhere. If that's the case, that's the place. The place we all should go. We gotta get going. Where are we going? What are we gonna do? We're on our way to somewhere, the three of us and you. What'll we see there? Who will be there? What'll be the big surprise? There may be caballeros with dark and flashing eyes. I'll take a train.
You take a train.
You take a boat.
I'll take a boat.
You take a plane.
I'll take a plane.
You ride a goat.
You ride the goat.
Oh, we don't care. We'll either walk or climb, but we'll get there and we're gonna have a happy time. Quanta la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta. Quanta la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta, la gusta. Now someone said he'd just come back from somewhere and picked a few petunias in the snow. He told me that it's very close to nowhere. If that's the case, that's the place. The place we all should go. We gotta get going. Where are we going? What are we gonna see? We're off to see somebody who's on his way to me. Gonna go your way, I'll go my way. Wanna make a little bet? We'll all meet in the country. They haven't found us yet. We're on our way.
We're on our way.
Pack up your pack.
Pack up your pack.
And if we stay, we won't come back.
We won't come back.
How can we go? We don't have a dime, but we're going and we're gonna have a happy, 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 happy. Quanta la gusta, la gusta, la gusta. Gonna have a happy time.
Hi everybody. Okay, so here we are. This is the next part to our workshop, our collagraph printing workshop, where we're actually going to ink up the plate now that it's sealed and dry. First, what we need to do is to prepare our paper. Now I'm just going to be using some ordinary cartridge paper, just quite cheap drawing paper, a few sheets of A4 drawing paper. And what I'm going to do first is I've got myself a clean tea towel here off to the side. I'm just going to lay my paper down on the tea towel and I'm going to spritz it with some clean water because I want to dampen down the fibres of the paper. Okay, I'm going to turn that over onto the tea towel. Now if you haven't got a spray bottle, what you can do is just use a sponge scourer from the kitchen in some clean water and do the same thing. Just dampen your paper down using a sponge scourer. Okay, so you don't want to saturate, you don't want to oversaturate the paper, you want it to be damp. Okay, so once that's done, just fold the tea towel over so your paper is contained nicely within that and put to one side. Okay, so to ink the plate, what we're going to do is, let Let me just zoom in first. Get that into shot. Okay. So to ink the plate, I'm just going to get a little bit of the block printing ink and put it down in this plastic tray. So you don't want a massive amount. Again, you know, I'm going to use my sponge brush because you have more control with the wooden handle. But failing that, you can again just use a kitchen scouring sponge and just cut it up so you can, you know, it does the same job really. But I'll just demonstrate what I mean. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of the ink on my sponge brush there, and I'm going to just apply it down onto my plate. So I'm just applying it down over the texture. You can use a rag to do this and sort of scrunch the ink down, but I just prefer, I just feel I've got more control doing it this way. So as you can see, as I'm wiping it across, it's just picking up all of that texture and tends not to go in the background. Which will make sense when we come to print. So I'm working fairly quickly because it is water-based ink, and you know, if you leave it too long, it can kind of dry out and become too sticky. So I try to work a little bit quickly. So I'm just trying to pick up all of that surface texture as much as I can without getting it too much on the background of the card. Although, you know, sometimes that can be quite nice as well. You can get some quite nice effects. You just experiment, but I'm not going to over ink for the first one. Let's just see what we can achieve with that first one. Let me pop that over there. Okay, so I'm going to bring my sheet of dampened paper across, and I'm going to just lay it down over the plate, and then I'm just going to press my hands down onto it. Okay, I don't want the paper to move about, so all I'm doing is manipulating it down with my fingertips. Bear in mind that because the paper is slightly dampened, it has a you run the risk of ripping the paper if you're too brutal with it. So, you know, just be mindful of how much pressure you're putting on the paper. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, once I've pressed it down with my fingertips, I'm just going to go in fairly lightly with my dessert spoon and kind of just burnish over the top. And that's just so I'm making sure that all the paper fibres, the dampened paper fibres, kind of yield to the textures and hopefully pick up the ink. So I get a nice, clean, sharp print, hopefully. Okay, so let's see what we've got. So I'm just going to move that off to the side a little bit. I'm going to peel that back. Okay, so there's our first print. So as you can see with the first print, and this is quite common, you won't get the detail that you think you're going to get first off, because we've only gone in quite lightly with the ink, so we're going to build up on that again. Okay, so I'm quite pleased with this one actually. You know, I have got some of that lace work coming through, and I really like these textures. I like the blister pack shapes and the arrangement of those coins, and you can just about make out the Queen's head on some of those. Okay, so I'm going to go in again. Let me pop that off to one side. I'll just pop that there. And I'm going to bring my ink back in. In fact, I'm going to put it on that side. And I'm going to reapply my ink. So I'm going to sort of scrunch it in to pick up a little bit more of that detail. Using the top. This is where these sponge tip brushes are really good, because you can kind of use the tip and the sides and everything, so you get a more accurate ink up. I'm just going to put a little bit more ink down. Okay, so again, let's pop that in the centre. I've got some of my dampened paper off to the side there. I'm just going to bring that over and lay it down over the top, and I'm just going to put my hands over, just kind of work my fingertips over the surface. Okay, I don't want to rub too hard because of the dampness of the paper. You know, you could kind of rip the paper up, so I don't really want to do that. I just want to make sure that that paper isn't going to move, and then I'm going to take my dessert spoon and again work that over. Okay, so let's see what we have. This is our second print. I'm just going to move that off to the side so I can pull this back. Let's see what we have. Okay, so we've got a little bit stronger there. It's still, I could still do with getting some more detail into this area. That could do with being stronger, but I really like this part up at the top there. I think there's some really lovely subtle shapes, and this shape here is almost like petals going around a central flower, so that's quite nice, I think. Okay, so I'm just going to do one more. This time I'm going to try and intensify the ink down on this part. And this is the beauty of printmaking, is, you know, you never know until you actually do this. You don't know really what results are going to be like. Which is different from drawing and painting, because every mark that you make is immediate and deliberate and kind of evolves in front of your eyes, so you can, you know, you don't really get the same level of surprise as you do with printmaking, which, you know, I really love that. I really love sort of the experimental aspect of it. Okay, right, let's just make sure there's enough in that corner there. Okay, so let's try again. So I'm going to bring that down centrally. I've got some paper, some dampened paper, which I'm just going to lay down over my plate. Zoom out there a bit. And again, I'm just going to press down with my fingertips. Work it over. So I hope you can see that as I'm kind of working across it with my hands, it's, you know, you can see the texture coming through on the other side of the paper. So again, I'm just going to go in with my dessert spoon and I'm going to burnish down into this lace section here. So let's do the big reveal. Take that off to the side. So hopefully, yeah, that's a lot stronger, see, in this area at the bottom.
Once we get to walk upon this earth, twice we get to make a mistake and learn. 3 times is enough to realize you're stronger than all of your doubts. And for me, live your days like every second counts. Fire and be fired at. Wear your love as a shield and a charm. And know not all can be saved, but all can be loved. And for me, live happy here on. 'Cause when I'm 99 and I'm looking back on my life, I wanna know I made it all that I could have. No, I made some bad decisions, but they made me wiser. And I smile and roll my eyes, think back to all the beautiful times I've had, and know I made every second count. Cause we're all faced with choices, and we might choose wrong. It's a warpath of consequences and lessons learned. But if you hide away at risk of failing, then there'll be no sunshine to light the road. 'Cause when you're 99 and you're looking back on your life, you wanna know you made it all that you could have. Know you made some bad decisions, but they made you wiser. And you smile and roll your eyes, think back to all the beautiful times you've had, and know you made every second count.
Every second, I'll make every second count.
So there you go. I'm really quite pleased with that. It's like a sort of stylized tree. And the other thing to mention is, of course, everything is reversed in print. So if things are going off in that direction, they'll be in the reverse direction on your actual print. So there you have it. There's collagraph printing, done very simply, just using household items. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you give that a go. Once all your prints are dried, you know, you can apply colour over the top. You could maybe use coloured pencils or inks or anything you like, really. But do give that a go, and please let me know how you get on, and let me have any questions if you have any. Okay, so till the next time, stay safe and well, everybody. Bye for now.
And I hope you enjoyed the class. Just a quick summing up from me. So thank you very much to our tutor today. Also thank you to all the musicians who inputted music. We are passionate about making sure that we pay musicians for the music that they provide, and also artists for the massive amount of time that they provide in producing the film and being here today. So if you do find that you've got a bit of spare change in your pocket, please do feel free to support us on patreon.com. So on this site you'll find different tiers that you can use to support the project.